Hello, Fort Worth. This is Tyrone King, your candidate for the Fort Worth City Council District 8. Thank you so much for tuning in this week for this edition of Tuesdays with Tyrone. So this week, I'll be talking about economic development, kind of piggybacking on what I started talking about last week and how we pay for the project that I mentioned last week. Well, as I mentioned, it's going to cost $40 million over 10 years, which is like $4 million a year. Now, I know you may ask yourself, well, where are we going to come up with $40 million over 10 years? And if I were a knee-jerk reaction kind of guy, I might say, where did we come up with $440 million in 2 years to build Dickey's Arena? In which I agree that we should have built Dickey's Arena. We needed Dickey's Arena, so I don't have a problem with that. Or if I were a knee-jerk reaction kind of guy, I might say, where did we come up with $200 million to redo the City Hall in the new Pier 1 building, which I agree we should have done. We needed that. We should have done that. I don't have a problem with that. So surely if we could come up with that kind of money in that amount of time to build facilities that we currently can't use, then surely we can come up with $40 million over 10 years to rebuild a community that's desperately in need of it right now. But I'm not a knee-jerk reaction kind of guy. I like to think things out. So my first response would be, we had the bond package a few years ago for arts funding. Is there any of that money left? I know we did some community centers and a lot of things like that. Is there any of that money left? I mean, could we use that? Second thing would be, is there a possibility that maybe we could, once Dickey's Arena is up and running again, then is there a possibility that maybe we could do a surcharge on each ticket sale, like maybe $1 per ticket sold? I don't think that would affect people buying tickets, because I took my daughter to see a Broadway show in New York, and by the time I got through paying for the tickets, with all the fees and taxes and everything like that, the ticket price had gone up by almost $40. So I don't think that would affect anybody purchasing a ticket for an event at Dickey's Arena. So is that a possibility that we could do something like that? And then there are other ways, public-private partnerships. But the simplest, easiest way is for each person to do their part. Now, there's 900,000 people in the city of Fort Worth. You take $4 million, divide that by 900,000, you're looking at about $4.40 per person. $4.40 per person to change the lives of people in a community that's desperately in need of it. And it doesn't take a whole lot. As you all know, I'm a deeply spiritual man. It guides everything that I live by. And it reminds me of one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible. I hope I don't offend anybody, but I can't help it. That's just my life. And it's a story that Jesus told when he was on his way back to Jerusalem for the last time. And he was really, really thoughtful and really introspective when he was doing his teaching on the way back. And anyway, he told this story about this rich man and Lazarus. You can find it in the Gospel of St. Luke. I think it's the 16th chapter. And he started out by saying there was a certain rich man, lived well every day, had nice clothes, nice house, everything that comes along with being rich, gated community. And right outside that gate lay a certain beggar named Lazarus. Now, he doesn't tell us how Lazarus got in the position that he's in, but he did tell us that Lazarus was covered with sores. And to make matters worse, these sores ran pus all the time. And he lay right outside that rich man's gate, begging for the crumbs that fell from the rich man's table. Now, he wasn't asking the rich man to invite him over to dinner. He knew that wasn't going to happen. He wasn't asking the rich man to have the servants prepare him a plate every day, bring it out to him. He knew that wasn't going to happen. He wasn't asking the rich man, can you have your servants, instead of throwing scraps of meat over to the dogs, can you give it to me? He knew that wasn't going to happen. He wasn't asking the rich man, can you have your servants, instead of taking that stuff that y'all have left on the plate, that fat meat that you don't like, instead of feeding it to the hogs, can you have them feed it to me? He knew that wasn't going to happen. He wasn't asking the rich man, can you have your servants take the tablecloth, and instead of taking the leftovers of the crumbs that are on the tablecloth, instead of taking it out, giving it to the chickens, can you just give it to me? All he wanted the rich man to give him is the crumbs that fell from the table as a result of all that fine living. But Lazarus couldn't even get that. And to make matters worse for Lazarus, when the dogs finished eating their scraps of meat, thirsty, they would go over and lick the pus from Lazarus' sores. I mean, Lazarus was in a bad way. But anyway, he says that Lazarus died and went to be with Abraham. And likewise, the rich man eventually died and went to the place of the dead. So one day, the rich man, being tormented, looked afar off and saw Lazarus hanging out with Abraham. And he cried out, Father Abraham, have a little mercy. Just a little bit of pity, if you would. Just allow Lazarus to come down here. Dip just the tip of his finger in this water and put it on my tongue and cool my tongue, because I'm being tormented in these flames. Now check this out. He wasn't asking Abraham to let Lazarus come over there and take him and dip him in the water. He knew that wasn't going to happen. He wasn't asking him, can you have Lazarus take a bucket of water and pour on me? He knew that wasn't going to happen. He wasn't asking, can you let him just take a glass of water and come and put it in my face? Just spit in my face. Anything to help cool me off, because he knew that wasn't going to happen. All he asked him for was let him take the tip of his finger and dip it in the water and cool his tongue. See how this thing turns around, y'all? But anyway, Abraham said, I'm not going to be able to do that. Said, don't you remember, in your lifetime, you lived in comfort. And old Lazarus here was being tormented. And now look at Lazarus. He's living in comfort and you're being tormented. And besides that, even if I wanted to, I couldn't do it. Because you see this big separation that divides us? It stops us at the edge and prevents us from coming over there to where you are. And as you know, it prevents you from coming over here to where we are. So the rich man said, okay, I get it. I understand. I should have done better. But would you just allow him to go down to my father's house? Because I got 5 brothers. And if he can warn them and let them know that if they do better, then they don't have to come here where I am. Abraham looked at him and said, I ain't going to be able to do that either. He said, your brothers got the writings of Moses. Your brothers got the writings of the prophets. Your brothers can find out the truth anytime they want to. Tell them instead of just holding it up, just open it up sometime, and they can find out the truth anytime they want to. But the rich man used to making deals. He said, no, Father Abraham, you don't understand what I'm saying. If you allow somebody to go back from the dead and tell them, then they'll believe. Abraham looked over at Jesus and said, if your brothers don't believe Moses, and your brothers don't believe the prophets, your brothers won't believe even if somebody returned from the dead and tell them about it. So the moral of the story is, Fort Worth, it only takes a little bit. It only takes a little bit, Fort Worth, and we're living well. Our city is doing good, and right outside our gate, literally right across the track, Fort Worth, lay a community that's begging for the crumbs that fall from our table. Community that's covered with sores right now, Fort Worth, just asking for some help. And to make matters worse, people come into that community and lick the pus from a community that's already suffering. Now, I know, even as I'm speaking, Fort Worth, I know that there are some people that's going to say, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to give. I don't care what. And see, we know that. And that's why he tells us, if my people, And so there won't be any misunderstanding who his people are. He said, those who are called by my name. If just the Christians would get together and do the right thing. If they would just humble themselves and do the right thing. Just call on me, let me know. Then I will hear them from heaven. They ain't got to put it on Facebook. They ain't got to tweet about it. They ain't got to do no TikTok, no Instagram. All they have to do is collectively come to me, tell me about it. I will hear them from heaven, and I will come in, and I will heal the land. Fort Worth, there's about 600,000 people, Christians in Fort Worth, who are called by his name. Now, if just those 600,000 people will do the right thing, you take 600,000, multiply that by 4, you're looking at $2.4 million if we'll just do the right thing. So it's not that hard, Fort Worth. Coming up with $4 million a year is not that hard if we really, really, truly want to start the process of healing and healing this community. I know that's not what you expected, Fort Worth, but hey, if we're going to do it, then we're going to have to take a look in the mirror and do our part in healing our city. So thank you, Fort Worth. Hopefully you'll still vote for me. Go out and vote. I love you all. God bless you, and God bless our great city.